Joining me right now is House Minority Whip Congressman Steve Scalise. Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. A lot to get to on the stimulus package, but first, give us your reaction to what you heard from Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas.
Well, Maria, good morning. Good to be with you again. And, I think what Justice Thomas pointed out is something that millions of Americans are still frustrated with, and that is that a state like Pennsylvania did not follow the laws that were passed by their legislature. So if Election Day is going to be decided by a Secretary of State or a court that might give you a favorable decision, that might be what they did, but that's not what our founding fathers said we do to run federal elections. So going forward, and I think this is the real issue, to restore integrity in the election process, you've got to confront this. The idea that you can just call people names that point out those facts that those states didn't follow their laws, you're still not going to ensure public confidence until you get back to the rule of law. Whatever the legislature determines, they do it in public view, Maria. There are hearings where you actually have to go present your case, and the people that are held accountable take votes on that. And then that's how the election's supposed to be run. Let's get back to what the Constitution says we're supposed to do for those elections.
But isn't it true, Congressman, that Nancy Pelosi's #1 issue, so-called H.R. 1, is about election and mail-in voting? I mean, the Democrats want to continue this mail-in voting. You've got one of the major justices of the Supreme Court saying, we need to ensure that there is election fairness, and he dissented in terms of the Supreme Court not even taking up the Pennsylvania case.
Yeah, if you look at what Nancy Pelosi's done, and by the way, this is something they've been trying to do for a long time, it would be a federal takeover of elections and getting rid of things like voter ID. Most states, including mine in Louisiana, have solid laws that were followed on Election Day that say you have to show a picture ID to prove who you are. If you do a mail-in ballot, you have to have a signature, and it needs to match the books that the registrar has. That's what most states do. She wants to get rid of all that, go to same-day voter registration, opening up the door for voter fraud. And by the way, in her bill, she also has taxpayer money, billions of your taxpayer dollars, going to politicians to run their campaigns. I don't think that's what most Americans want to see, but that's what she's going to bring later this year.
This is a really important point that you're making, because all of this stuff that's snuck into these stimulus packages and spending packages. Let me talk to you about the one that's being discussed right now, and that's President Biden challenging critics who say the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package is too large. It includes $1,400 stimulus checks and an extension of unemployment benefits. It also includes a lot of non-COVID related spending as well. Your reaction to this bill, Congressman?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a disaster of a giveaway bill to states that were failed. Example, California will probably get $40 billion from this bill. They just announced last week they have a $10 billion surplus. My challenge to Joe Biden would be, would he agree to take out all the things that are not related to COVID, like a raise in the minimum wage? Again, you pointed out the money to states. What about this underground railroad in Silicon Valley? How about money that's going to keep schools closed? 95% of the money in this bill, over $130 billion for education, will not even be spent until 2022, when schools need to be reopened today. The science, by the way, strongly backs up opening up schools right now. It points out the long-term damage that is being done to millions of kids in America right now who aren't in the classroom. It's a national disgrace what's happening to our children, to bow down to the teachers union. So I would challenge President Biden to take out all the things that have nothing to do with COVID, and let's actually get back to helping families, reopen small businesses, and open up our schools right now. Not a year from now, not 1 day a week, 5 days a week. Let's stand up.
Well, you make a really important point, and families that are watching right now agree with you. The schools are closed, so what are they going to do with all of that money to the teachers union? What will it be used for if our children can't even go back to school? I mean, there's also, hundreds of millions of dollars to museums, hundreds of millions of dollars to the arts and humanities. I mean, is this the way business is conducted in Washington? You sneak in stuff in a major bill, and you just keep adding on to our debt, hoping nobody's going to notice that this has nothing to do with COVID?
This, Maria, is what disgusts people about how business is done in Washington, and it needs to stop. Nancy Pelosi famously said during Obamacare, you have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. Well, at least right now, people are starting to find out what's in it, and you know enough to know this bill shouldn't pass. I've surely been urging everybody to vote against this bill, and let's focus on helping families, helping reopen businesses, and helping open schools. I had an amendment to double the number of vaccines that we're going to be giving. Instead of what was the Trump plan, which was 100 million vaccines in Biden's first 100 days. That's what President Trump left Joe Biden. We've been pushing him to put even more resources to increase and double the number of vaccines to 200 million. And they have blocked us at every turn. In fact, every Democrat voted against the amendment to increase vaccines. So what are they really trying to do except give away money to failed states and cover for Cuomo? We had a bill to make Cuomo show the nursing home data. Every Democrat voted against that.
Wow. Well, look, at this point, it's an incredible, stark, obvious picture of schools being closed, but the borders wide open. And he's done that through executive orders. Doesn't need any congressional approval for overturning the Trump administration's immigration policy. Congressman, we'll keep putting a spotlight on it. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much.
Great being back with you.
Steve Scalise.
Thanks.